Frank, can you imagine a life so mundane that you might wake up every day and not have one challenge before you?
To the first episode of Victory Stories. Today I have with you my brother from Texas, Renan. Renan, how are you?
Hey guys, how are you doing today? So I am on the 1200 Octane that Frank just recently acquired. I'm really excited about this bike. It is a gun barrel smoked gray. It's basically a bobber or it's taken off of the Scout from the Indian, but it is a absolute gorgeous, about a 600-pound bike. It has got all of the juice you could possibly want.
This is not really your type of bike. What were you riding? What was the last bike you rode?
So I originally started out on the CBR platform. I had one of those when I was in Spain. Really enjoyed that. I was a much younger man in much younger days. And then I transitioned over just recently to an FTR, which is the Indian platform. Really like the dynamic power on that bike. The only thing is that it sits me a little bit forward and it sits a little bit more aggressive, which is nothing to take away or distract from the bike. This Victory it's kicked back, legs swept forward, arms out front. It's a power position. Thought I was going to have some fatigue. I felt no fatigue in my legs, no fatigue in my shoulders. Still got a lot of power.
This is my homage to America. It's as American as I could get. So Renan, we've known each other for how long now? Do you know, or you remember?
3 or 4 years.
So 3 years.
3 years.
Very good, very good. What was calling you in that time, in that moment?
I had just recently stepped into what was self-discovery and what I would call sort of a spiritual path, a spiritual journey. I hadn't had any kind of blueprint. There was nobody who had gone before me. I was reaching a part of my life where I was finding the subtleties of smoking a whole bunch of pot, drinking a whole bunch of alcohol, partying, or just trying to take myself out of the frame was not meeting deeper needs. There was no fulfillment in chasing sort of benign, meaningless activities. And my work was extremely rewarding, but I was recognizing that I'm not defined by my work.
Right.
In effect, snowboarding through life, skating through life without meeting any of those deeper resonating questions like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And what is my purpose?
So I'm hearing like you're at a place in your life where something wanted to emerge or wanted to change or evolve or expand. You set out seeking. How did you hear about it?
I heard through my good friend, David Miranda.
Boy!
Yeah, who had recently stepped in with a couple of other people in Costa Rica in the community and had basically said, hey man, I found this thing that I had always suspected was possible, but I didn't know was probable. And I was like, well, that sounds really interesting. Can you give me some more information? And he goes, there's a community out there that has to do with the notion of embodying one's self, finding one's centrality in a spiritual context, answering a lot of those questions that have been sort of nagging us for 10 years or so. And so it turns out that ISTA was going to come to Austin, right in my backyard. I'm kind of one of these people who, regardless of like how the movie plays out, like I'm going to be my own critic. I'm not going to listen to somebody else's interpretation of what they think is going on. So I stepped into it very open-minded. I'll tell you, Frank, that I brought this archetype of sort of the professor, which was this person who had to diligently take notes so as to not miss any of the content. And it was by about the third day when I was in this vortex of not really understanding actually what day it was.
Right.
And recognizing that I was missing. It's sort of like the Bruce Lee analogy. You know, you take a look at the moon and you focus on the moon. He smacks the kid and the kid's like, what's that for? And it's like, you're missing all the other heavenly glory. You know, there's everything else out there. Don't just focus on the moon. And so I stopped focusing on just trying to take notes, and I started to really recognize that humanity has had ritual for longer than we've had office settings and employment in regular jobs and doing mundane regular things. And so part of me immediately switched and said, this is a birthright. This is something that belongs to me, that's older than me, that has lineage in my ancestry, in my Mayan and Aztec ancestry. This is the rich content of how my people flowed. And it was right then and there that I became tribe, that I chose the purposeful decision to fully step into this. So then I guess at that point, I realized that I had to switch a lot of shit up. There was going to be no more bullshitting myself or anyone else. No more telling lies, not even the smallest ones. No more trying to cheat the system or game the system. No taking anything from anybody in any way, whether it's conscious, objectively taking something or subconsciously taking from
energy or whatever.
Energy from people. It was walking the way of the integral man. Let me be very frank with you. There are a lot of intelligent people who have other stories out there that might be just the story that you need to hear. And I was hearing these stories.
Right. That's the power of the transformational process in group. So when we're in a collective, there's an ability to heal and expand and gain the stories that touches us that maybe we didn't have access to in our own story. But as we hear and witness somebody that we respect or going through the process themselves, it has the opportunity to also do the work on us. So what would you say is where you've landed now? What do you feel like this work at the core of it has infused you with, and how is that changing your life right now?
That's a beautiful question. I have been moving consciously through the different phases of the Trinity. There is the knowing, there is the experiencing, and then there is the being. There's the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. I've done the first two, and I can walk up and down, left and right, and in and out of those pieces. The being part, this is the good stuff.
Yeah.
This is the opportunity of a lifetime to invite challenge, to praise challenge, to thank challenge. It is a powerful thing when you begin to take the medicine that you have especially avoided, that you've walked past time and time again, and seen it placed right in front of you, sometimes in a golden chalice.
Yeah.
And you went ahead and skipped it and went one more round on the spiral.
Right.
The young warrior that needs to go out and chase the buffalo and fight the wolf. I don't need blood on my spirit anymore. I've experienced that quite a bit. Now it's my opportunity to step into the Chief's Council. And this Chief's Council to me looks like using my skill set, my sole purpose. And when I'm called upon by my elders to move into a space, I'll be able to step into that and show them, because they know I have the integrity. And they know that I have the purpose. Right. I know that I'm embodying the spirit.
I just need to acknowledge the clarity of wanting to walk an honorable path and using that as your compass, which is blazing your trail to showing up more fully the Renan, the soul-embodied Renan in the personality to gift to the world. So I hear that. I see that in your journey. I love it. I want to congratulate you. I want to thank you for being on this journey with me. I want to thank you for riding motorcycles with me. I want to thank you for imagining. And the Maya, they have a saying that says, if you could imagine it, you could create it. And if you could create it, you can manifest it. I feel like we've just got onto the journey of starting to imagine some things together. And I'm looking forward to seeing what wants to be created and eventually manifested, my brother. Thank you so much for this day, for this interview, for this time, for sharing your story with me, your journey, your victory story, actually, a story of victory, of triumph, of moving from unconscious being who wants to succeed in the world to the aware, conscious man that wants to be and be powerfully in the world, that inspire and radiate your love and your gifts. So that was it, our first episode of Victory Stories. We got to experience the story of the Victory Octane, and we also got to hear the story of Renan, who has been on this path with me for the last 3 years in the different workshops and different brotherhood experiences we've been doing along the way. Thank you for listening. Remember, let love free. That is the path of love. That is the highway of love. And if you could imagine it, you can manifest it. Peace. So,
Goddamn, dude. What have you gotten me into, bro?
I got you into the good stuff.
What you fucking get me into, dude? This is like crack, man. I hadn't felt that good in a minute, dude.